You did mention about data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence. So the role of technology brings us to the question of role of technology. To start with, is there a resistance to this change which is fast happening in your function?
Yeah, so it's indifference, I would say, not resistance overall.
Okay.
And one is that challenge of not only the HR professionals, more so of other employees. Because if this has to succeed, this transformation has to succeed, it has to be by the people.
Right.
Because it is for them.
Exactly.
So employee adoption of this behavior, HR has to play the most important role. IT functions cannot, the CTO alone or the CIO cannot do this function. HR has to get into it because this is an irreversible, irrevocable path everyone will lead to in the next 5 years.
So
there is a challenge, but we have to move there. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No problem. So do you see technology making certain jobs redundant in that sense?
Yes, but it will create new jobs. Maybe routine jobs, mundane jobs. They may go. That's what appears to be the scenario. And I think HR will regain. It will be restored its natural habitat, which is of creativity, which is of connecting with people, which is helping people out.
Because when it comes to technology, that's the fear, right? The technology because of this technology, I might end up losing my job.
Yeah, so but technology will take up the routine jobs. It will free up your time for these value-added jobs in HR.
Right.
Be it coaching, be it mentoring, be it you'll become career architects, which you should have become always, rather than spending time not in payroll and compliance and HR operations too much. So all that will be automated. I think it is for good. And look what happened in the 1980s when the banks were computerized. The people said they'd lose the jobs. Look at the IT industry. New jobs will come.
So what kind of changes do you see in terms of technology in HR right now?
Yeah, so there is
where is it headed most importantly?
Yes. Yeah, so there's a lot in the offing. But right now, I think things are not looking so sure. I would say there's more talk and less execution. So we are waiting and watching. Everybody is doing that, I guess. Because when we talk of AI and ML in HR, some bit of chatbots, for example, some people are using. More than that, I really don't know anything is being used. And when we say artificial intelligence, the bots also, if you see, right now it is at best a VLOOKUP or an HLOOKUP stage. Nothing more than that. It's not that they have learned intuition, empathy, human behavior. The bots have not learned it, and we're not looking at any direction in which they are going to do that. Yes, a VLOOKUP kind of a thing that's much faster. That's what you're going to get. So that has also not started fully because it has challenges. First, the employees' buy-in has to be elicited, but you have to take them along. You have to convince them. You have to convince yourself first, then others. This is for your good. It will take time, but it will certainly happen. And it will be for really good.
But by and large, the human intervention out of HR cannot be replaced, right?
I don't think so. The value-added thing will always remain. In fact, there will be new areas for HR. The more you use technology, the more need for HR comes in.
Sure.
So you look at the millennial generation. So whereas you have to engage them, what they would look for is a sense of purpose. Be it in the societies, how it is relevant, what they're doing, be it in the environment. They have to look at something which is relevant. Who will create this vision? Who will create this positioning for them? This is HR, along with the management. Of course, beyond this, look at the current generation. Most of them are from more well-off families. Our children are from more well-off families than we came, the previous generation. And they have more gadgets. They are much better. Human evolution, I'm sure, continues to happen. So they are much faster, maybe more intelligent and better, and so they can work with the gadgets very well with a lot of ease and fast. At the same time, they have both parents working many a time, so they have not had that time. There's single child families. There's a lot of loneliness which grips them, and that is not so uncommon. Plus the addiction to the gadget, their detoxification will do for them. Maybe their personality needs, which are there, which were earlier addressed by the family, earlier by the joint family, then by the nuclear family. Now HR will have to address it, because ultimately it is they who will come to the workforce. Somebody has to do the emotional imbalances and so many other things. So HR's role will increase actually. This is how I foresee it.
Sure. It's interesting you talk about millennials because there are two schools of thought about millennials from what I have heard. So one is that the new lot of the millennials are in that sense, they come with a sense of entitlement when they
True.
When they come for their jobs. They think everything is going to be easy, hunky-dory, like what they've experienced. The other school of thought is the millennials are the ones who have disrupted, innovated innovated much more than probably the generations before that. So where are you on which side do you?
I agree with both the schools of thought. And there is no choice there, but only these people will be the workforce. So you have to work with them.
Yeah, sure.
You have to learn to live with both.
Right.
And that will be a call for a new approach to employees.
So do you already see that kind of approach being embraced by HR in today's time?
Not yet, I think, but we will have to do it very fast. Because till now we expect people to come in and start working like we used to do for 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours without me asking for a return on anything. Right. And they're just dedicated and this thing. So that's not going to happen. Work-life balance is a lot important to them. And other things are, they want to have their hobbies. So, you can't stop that.
So in that sense, what you're saying is when a millennial, so to speak, comes and asks for what he thinks he is entitled for, makes the older generation think that they have a sense of entitlement?
Yeah.
So there is a disconnect which needs to be bridged in that area. Yeah. Like you very correctly said, it is something
you have to live with.
Yeah, and our generation, like the previous generations, wouldn't question.
We struggled for basics.
And we didn't question, right?
We
didn't question. Millennials come with the whole thought process that it's okay to question authority.
Yeah.
Is that a challenge?
That would be a bit of a challenge, how work will happen. So you have to find newer ways of engaging them, motivating them and disciplining them.
And we are going in that direction.
We are going in that direction, certainly. But there's a lot to be done.
There's a lot to be done.
A lot to be thought about and to be done. And Kiran, a lot to be learned first. Right now, how many millennials are there in the company? There are, but we learn also as they come in more of what I have also said. These are some views and opinions, whether they are real, factual, we'll come to know once they are there. And there also individuals vary. Sure. It's not one single species.
Right, exactly. And do you see a lot of this generation wanting to get into HR as a function, or are they more keen on getting into IT, having a startup?
Yes, I think they're more into having a startup and IT. That is true. However, they are going to the B schools as well. But I would say they will come to HR certainly.
From an HR perspective, looking at where our economy stands, and it's a global issue right now, it's not a country-specific issue, economy is sluggish. So what is your take on where we stand right now and what does the future look like?
Yeah, so this is a wait and watch situation. Things are definitely not looking very bright. And the good thing is that since we are not insulated from the world around, so maybe it is an impact of that. The government should also be very, very careful on initiating any new moves and strategy, is my humble opinion. And they do respond. They are responding very fast. They're taking feedback and they're changing track. But probably sometimes they could have studied it beforehand. So one has to see. However, I think whatever I have discussed with people, the surveys I've undergone, I've done some deep study in this, and a survey of about 175 CEOs and CFOs. So this seems to be a temporary phase, though it is definitely looking down, but it is going to go up. And there are contrary views from today itself in the newspaper. If you say the Honda guy says that, things are not looking bright, the Mercedes guys say that they are very good.
Auto is under stress.
And within that also, contrary.
Yeah. So is this as bad as 2008, 2009?
I don't think so.
It's not.
Much better.
It's much better.
The GDP growth rate is still 5% last quarter.
Right.
Annual will be more.
And we did sustain that.
Yeah.
So this can't be that bad.
No, I think it will get better.
Sure.
Let's see how the festive season is, because now the monsoons have also been quite good. So that will tell us a lot.
So in this kind of a market and this kind of an economic situation, what role does the HR function play to keep its... Because within the employees there are talks, things are bad, there won't be any increment this year, no bonuses, nothing. So how does HR play its part in keeping the employees motivated in this kind of...
A very important role, and HR, one, in communicating a lot with the employees, dispelling unnecessary fears, rumors, apprehensions, and spreading the positive news also. Like the Mercedes guys, they said there are so many positive news also coming. A lot of good news about FDI as well. So spreading the positive news, dispelling rumors and fears, unfounded fears. At the same time, keeping them focused on the work. And this is the time to really leverage the available time for employee time and really work for their career growth, and they're upgrading the skills and competencies and training and other interventions. That's what HR should be involved in. As far as increments and bonuses are concerned, I think HR definitely has a big role to convince the management that zero should never be the case. So that will have a debilitating impact, because in the bad times, if you're not looking after employees, in the good times, they will also leave you. So that is the time to prove to them that you stay. Hey, this stay put.
But that's what, from our experiences of when economy slows down, the first budget cuts that comes in an organization is cuts on training, cuts on hiring. So it's kind of contrary to what you suggest.
True. I'm saying it should change.
So the HR will play a big part in convincing the management about the...
They can, because they should have that rapport, one with the CEOs and other part of the board of directors, other members of the board. And they should have the ability and the facts and the data and the thought process to convince.
So basically that's what, when you say the HR's role shouldn't restrict itself to... HR shouldn't restrict itself to the payrolls, and this is an important aspect.
Far more employee communication.
And being the bridge between the employee and
the management.
And taking up cases of the employees with the management and fighting for the rights of the employees also.
You are an employee advocate. Maybe you can be a change agent and a strategic business partner, but at the same time, you should never forget you are an employee advocate. Absolutely. HR was doing a brilliant job in the earlier days when the IR was very strong. So it was doing a very good job. Gradually, of course, because we tried to become HR business partners and, HR's linkage to business being talked about. Of course, we exist only because of business. Exactly. We don't need to find any linkages. It's already there. So, in that that's why I mentioned, we should not forget the human angle and the core.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you so much for your time and those valuable insights. It was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, Karan. I had a nice conversation.
Thank you so much.